Senator Jeanne Shaheen, BNH, is questioning the wisdom of federal employee pensions invested in China stocks. AP photo, Robert F. Bukaty, Associated Press. Of the Chinese government wants to know how Democratic Party leadership might treat them in the eventuality of a Trumpless White House. Look no further than New Hampshire Democrat Jeanne Shaheen. Shaheen and her Republican counterpart in the Senate, China hawk Marco Rubio, might not have much in common when it comes to voting on bills. But both think federal employees should not be forced into investing in Chinese equities in their retirement plans. Senators Rubio and Shaheen sent a letter to the chairman of the Federal Retirement Thrift Investment Board, FRTIB, on Monday asking to reverse a decision to use the MSCI All Country World ex-US Index as the benchmark for a public pension fund held by federal staffers. By benchmarking those retirement funds to that MSCI index, some $50 billion in federal employee retirement assets would be investing in China. That includes military pensions as well, giving Washington another reason to use national security as a way to divest from China. Both believe that by investing in the benchmark, American government employees and retired military would be funding the Chinese government and Communist Party. China accounts for 8.36% of the MSCI All Country World ex-US China tech companies Tencent and Alibaba are top 10 holdings. Neither are run by the state. That's not stopping Rubio and Shaheen, who singled out a few large-cap firms controlled by the government. Marco Rubio of Florida, "Hey China, go pound sand." AP photo, Bryn Anderson, Associated Press. Owns such company as Avicina Industry. Another big one is China Mobile, a state-owned telecom that the Federal Communications Commission banned from entering the U.S. market in May 2019. Then there's the human rights angle, the easiest way to convince Democrats to get hawkish on foreign policy. For instance, when Hillary Clinton made her case for the U.S. war in Afghanistan after the September 11 terrorist attack in 2001, she argued the human rights angle. The human rights issue is undoubtedly Shaheen's. Hangzhou Hikvision Digital Technology was singled out in their letter today. Hikvision is government-controlled and is one of China's Big Brother developers. In particular, Hikvision runs surveillance cameras in the province of Xinjiang, where the Chinese government has detained Uyghur Muslims. Constituent entities of Hikvision's controlling shareholder, China Electronics Technology Group, were added to the U.S. Commerce Department's Entity List in August 2018. The Entity List bars certain American computer components makers from selling to them. The U.S. government has also banned government contractors from purchasing equipment from Hikvision as of August 13, 2019, and will ban federal contracts with companies who use Hikvision equipment starting next August, according to the senator's letter to FRTIB Chairman Michael Kennedy. Rubio and Shaheen asked Kennedy to respond to 4 questions by Sept. 6, including a question regarding the criteria used to pick the index in the first place. They asked if there was any evidence of due diligence performed on the China constituents in the index, particularly regarding national security and human rights. A woman is reflected on a glass panel as she walks by a brokerage house displaying stock trading index in Beijing. MSCI has been steadily increasing its weighting of mainland China equities in its premier emerging markets indexes. AP photo, and the Associated Press. Rubio scolded the board's decision to benchmark to that index, calling it foolish and short-sighted. Many Chinese companies included in MSCI indexes are not just involved in China's military, espionage, and human rights abuses, they are also state-owned or state-directed enterprises used as tools by the Communist Party to undermine American companies and workers, he says. They should publicly reverse this decision immediately. Rubio has also called on MSCI to reconsider its inclusion factor of mainland China stocks in its massive MSCI Emerging Markets Index. Investors in the iShares MSCI Emerging Markets Exchange Traded Fund, along with a myriad of active investment products benchmarked to that index, are invested in more Chinese stocks than ever. Some of the top holdings in that index include China's biggest government banks and tech firms. It would not be a stretch for the U.S. government to single out some of those banks, especially if any have funded sanctioned countries Iran, Cuba or North Korea. The risk of a forced divestiture is slim. But moves such as this should remind investors of the non-tariff barriers now inherent in China investing. It may be only a matter of time for one of these barriers to force China to threaten the same. The South China Morning Post reported this month that China was considering its own entity list. Long before China threatens to ban its funds from investing in Facebook or Twitter, based on censorship matters at home and in Hong Kong. Non-tariff barriers represent a new variable in the trade war, something investors have been grappling with for months in an attempt to decipher the new risks of investing in the world's no economy. Let's block ads. Why?